Hello and welcome to this tutorial on navigating DivePort healthcare applications. Today we're going to guide you through the essential functionalities and displays of the ambulatory operations app. This guide can be applied across various healthcare apps within DivePort. Let's start by accessing the bridge to view all available options.
This video is intended to help you get started with your DivePort healthcare applications. It will help you understand how to view the data in your dashboards and navigate the different displays and functionalities. We'll start at the bridge. The bridge is the area that shows you all the applications you have access to. Let's begin by clicking the Healthcare Preview button. The introduction page for the Healthcare app demos now appears on the screen. Let's get a listing of all the actual healthcare applications. This page shows you all the current healthcare applications offerings. We'll be working with the hospital operations application, but many of the tasks we'll perform in that application can be performed in other applications as well. Next, we'll open the Executive Dashboard page in Hospital Operations. The Executive Dashboard page now appears on the screen. The page includes 4 separate dashboards. Each dashboard contains a list of measures, also called Key Performance Indicators or metrics, along with detailed information about the measure currently selected in that dashboard. For example, in the top left dashboard, labeled Operations, we can see that total admissions is at the top of the list of measures and is also the currently selected measure. Below the heading Total Admissions is detailed information that pertains to that measure. We can see that the number of admissions for the year to date, that is, the current year to completed month, is 29,192. That the number of admissions for the last year to date, that is, the same period the previous year, is 30,759. That there's a difference of minus 1,567 between the last year and the current year, and that the percentage change between last year and this year is minus 5.1%. There's also an indicator that gives you a visual representation of the percentage change. And finally, the graph shows how the values for total admissions varied from month to month over the last 12 months. When you click the name of a measure, the numbers and graphical displays change to represent the data for that measure. We'll click the measure name Observation Visits to see how this works. The information in the Operations dashboard updates to show the numbers and graphical information for the Observation Visits measure. For example, the year-to-date number changes from 29,192 to 8,000, the number of observation visits for this period. There's more to say about the contents of the 4 dashboards on this page, but first let's take a quick look at the very top of the page. This area gives you some overall information about the data you're looking at and allows you to filter it. On this particular page, there are 2 sets of filters, but you might have any number of filters here, including none at all, depending on how your page is set up. In the top right corner, you can find out when the data was last updated and which months are the beginning and ending months in the current view of your data. You can also change the calendar used to view your data. Currently, we have calendars set to fiscal. Choosing fiscal sets the first month of the year-to-date period to the first month of your organization's fiscal year. In this case, we can see that the fiscal year begins in the month of October. Now let's set the calendar to standard. The standard calendar sets the first month of the year-to-date period to January. The data in each dashboard updates to reflect the change in the calendar view. Let's change the calendar view back to fiscal for now. On this page, you can also filter your data by facility, as you can see from the Facility Quick View at the top left. The Facility Quick View is currently set to show data for all the facilities in this organization. Let's see what happens to our data when we choose a single facility, Longwood Hospital, from the Quick View. The data in each dashboard updates to show values for Longwood Hospital only. Let's switch back to all facilities for now and resume our exploration of the 4 dashboards. You can dive on, that is, get more information on, the values in the dashboards by clicking them. You can tell that a value is clickable because the cursor changes to a hand, or the area of the dashboard changes color, or both. Let's dive on 8,000, the number of observation visits for this time period. A default analysis window now appears on the screen. The name of the measure we're analyzing, observation visits, is in the top left corner. The default analysis window shows how the number we clicked, 8,000, breaks down by discharge location. For example, we can see that of the 8,000 total observation visits for this time period, 358 of those visits were at SHED, the Springfield Hospital Emergency Department. We could dive deeper into this data by clicking a discharge location and choosing another data element, another dimension, to dive on. Let's click SHED to see how this works. Another list of dimensions appears on the screen. If we wanted to, we could choose one of these to further refine our analysis of the observation visits at the Springfield Hospital Emergency Department. For now, however, let's go back to the original default analysis window by clicking outside the list. Notice the Excel and PDF icons at the bottom of the window. To begin exporting the contents of the window to an Excel file, we'll click the Excel icon. An Excel spreadsheet populated with the data we were just looking at appears on the screen. If we wanted to, we could save the spreadsheet for future reference, but for now we'll close it and return to the default analysis window. To begin displaying the contents of the window in PDF form, we'll click the PDF icon. A dialog box containing a link to the PDF document appears on the screen. We'll click the link to open the PDF document. A PDF document containing the data in the default analysis window opens in the browser. This document can also be saved for future reference, but for now we'll close it and return to the default analysis window. You'll notice a print button in the top right corner of the default analysis window. When you click print, you have the choice to print to PDF, print to an image, or create a slide in a PowerPoint presentation. Now let's close the default analysis window. Sometimes you need more information about a measure to understand the values it generates. To display measure overview information for the currently selected measure, observation visits, we'll click the information icon. In the measure overview window now on the screen, we can see detailed information about the measure. There's a description of the measure, an explanation of its business logic, if it uses any business logic, information on the syntax of the measure, and a list of related reference documents, if there are any. The Measure Overview window, like other windows you will encounter in your applications, has multiple tabs. We've been looking at the Definition tab. Next, we'll look at the Current versus Previous tab. The Current versus Previous tab shows the total number of observation visits for various time ranges, for example, daily, rolling 7 days, month to date, and so on. It shows the current values for those time ranges, compares them with the values for previous time ranges, and shows the difference and percent difference between the current and previous values. Now let's look at the tab labeled Versus Last Year. On this tab, we see the data broken out in similar ways, but this time the current values are compared with the values for the same time ranges a year ago. You can learn more about a value in the current column by clicking it. This is called diving. Let's click the month-to-date value, 670. The number of observation visits for the current month-to-date is now broken out by discharge location, as we saw earlier. So for example, we can see that of the 670 total observation visits, 29 of them were done at the Longwood Hospital at the Chest Pain Center. Notice also that we now have a tab labeled Trend. The Trend tab shows a graph for the last 12 months for the measure. Now let's close the Measure Overview window and return to the main area of the Executive Dashboard page. So far, we've been looking exclusively at the contents of the Executive Dashboard page in the Hospital Operations application. Let's take a look at some of the other pages and functions common to all healthcare applications. The Measures page contains a listing of all the measures in use in the current application. Every application includes a Measures page. The information here is laid out just as it was in the Measure Overview window we saw on the Executive Dashboard page. Select the name of a measure to see the current versus previous versus last year and definition information for that measure. The display updates to show the current versus previous values for total admissions. And again, when we click a value in the current column, we see a breakdown of the values by a dimension, here admit location, and have the option to dive further into the data or look at a graph of the data. Let's look at one more page that you'll see in all healthcare applications, the Dimensions page. The Dimensions page lets you break down and analyze your data in many different ways. In hospital operations, we can break down our data by admit type, admit source, primary financial class, primary payer, facility, discharge location, discharge status abbreviated, and discharge service. We can also filter the data by facility and see how the data changes for different time ranges. Let's say we want to break down our data by primary financial class. On the left, we now have a list of all the primary financial classes. Now let's say we want to narrow our view of primary financial classes to just Blue Cross, Medicaid, Charity, and Champus. The key metrics on the right update to show the data for the subset of primary financial classes we chose on the left. Finally, let's take a look at the help for this application. All applications offer access to help using the menu in the upper right corner of the page. DivePort User Help opens in a new tab in your browser. From here, you can select a topic or search for a topic in the search box. This concludes the overview of navigation in DivePort healthcare applications. Thanks for watching.
That brings us to the end of our guide. We covered a lot of ground. If you have any questions or need further clarification of any of the functions we discussed, please leave a comment below. Keep exploring and utilizing these powerful tools to make the most of your healthcare data analysis. Dive safe and see you next time.